welcome back to the Nortex Mining YouTube channel. Today's video, we're going to be going over the probably most asked question in the world of helium. How much money can I make mining helium? So let's check it out. Let's check out these dashboards here. This is one of the resources that the network has available, the community has really built and made available. It's at etl.dy.org. So all you really need is a Gmail account to sign up. And yeah, I mean, you can have access to all these really cool dashboards that show you a ton of data. And I don't know about you guys, but I need data when I'm making decisions. So, how do I know how much money you can make, we can make, I can make, you can make, we can make, I suppose, mining helium? So, we're here in this network overview tab. Again, here in January 2022, we are at about 512,000 hotspots. Over time, you can just see this hockey stick spike of the total number of hotspots on the network. But what I'm looking at right now is average HNT rewards look to be about 0.15 right now. So 0.15 per day to the average miner at about 22, 24 is the current Oracle price. So you're looking for the average miner at somewhere between $90 and $100 a month. Now, that's not bad, right? I mean, when you consider, hey, you're plugging in this hotspot, electrical is not really a concern. So when you go over to the helium.com/mine page, you can kind of see your hotspot's only using 5 watts of energy. Now, that eventually, I mean, depending on where you live, I mean, this is still going to be less than $1, less than $2 per day. So really doesn't cost you nearly anything to run one of these things. And not like, these Bitcoin or Ethereum mining GPUs. I mean, you can really run these things forever. I mean, it's not going to bankrupt you if you're using this thing 24/7 just off of electricity costs. I mean, so that's it on the electric front. I did want to emphasize this. The hotspot's only using 5 watts of energy. I mean, that's basically smaller than a light bulb, as small or smaller than a light bulb. Maybe you got one of these super awesome LED light bulbs that only uses 5 watts, but electric costs are not a concern. The other main topic here is that the mining earnings are highly location dependent. If someone asks you, hey, how much money can I make mining helium? It's a tough question to answer. The answer is it depends. Where are you located? Do you have access to someone else's house that might be, at a high elevation overlooking the town? I mean, if you're down deep in a valley kind of area, then it's gonna be tough for signals to get to you. I mean, yeah, it is a new kind of crypto miner, and you're mining crypto with radio waves. So here's a list of all the approved hotspot makers. This is talking more about the algorithm and the consensus mechanism of the proof of coverage. But really before even getting to that, what you want to do is you want to come to the explorer.helium.com page, take a look around. In this bottom right corner, you can select this earnings tab, or earnings layer rather. This default layer is basically useless. I mean, it just kind of shows you where the network's at. But in terms of how much can you make, you really want to be looking at probably this earnings tab. Transmit scales is also important when it comes to earnings. So you can see here, this is the DFW area in North Texas. This is looking very congested here, basically. The more orange and red you see, and if you really want to see some orange and red, you can go down to Austin and San Antonio. And actually, Austin looks like it's gotten a lot better over the past couple months, primarily because the distribution of hotspots has improved enough, but you can see that downtown area has still got a lot of orange and red. San Antonio is really getting penalized here by too many hotspots and too concentrated of an area. So the proof of coverage and the distribution algorithms, I suppose, are a bit outside of the scope of this video, but basically you want to see, okay, what are people making around me? So let's say you lived in Denton, you could go to the Explorer and see, okay, looks like this daily HNT earnings average is in this yellow color. If I'm seeing a lot of orange and red around, that means people are probably making less than average. If I'm seeing a lot of blue, that means people are making twice the average. So they're doing pretty well. So you can kind of click in here and, yeah, let's just say you lived here on Kings Row, for example, and you were going to put a hotspot in here. Looks like these two neighbors are making about average returns, 3.15 helium. This guy's at about 0.83. But just to your north, you've got some neighbors making 8.72. Nobody there. This guy is making 21.5. I mean, this guy's got to be probably up really high. Yeah, so he's got his listed at 6 meters, but he might be even higher, or he might be on a ridge of some kind. These values in the Explorer are not to be trusted. They are input by the user. So whoever owns this hotspot would have input these values. The height is not currently being used by any sort of proof of coverage algorithm variable or anything like that. This is just basically FYI to whoever else is looking at your hotspot. The antenna gain value is being used in calculations right now, so that's probably going to be accurate. But again, depends on the owner if they're even updating things about their hotspot. It may not be the most accurate piece of info out there. So, yeah, so again, mining with radio waves. What are the two most important things when it comes to transmitting RF signals? The first two things is elevation and height. So the distinction there is elevation is how high you are relative to your surrounding areas, and maybe probably hotspot is a better tool for that. So if you can find yourself a good elevation map, I probably should have been more prepared and had one ready to go. But basically, what you want to see is how high are you compared to the rest of your city. So if there's some higher elevations over here and some lower elevations here, I mean you kind of want to prioritize these higher elevation points. Then secondly, in terms of height, how high up can you get this thing? I mean, even even if you're on a second or third floor apartment, but you're at a higher elevation relative to the rest of your city, then that might be okay. Versus, there might be some kind of valley in here, and even if you're on the top of if you got your antenna on the top of a 30-foot flagpole, that's still going to be troublesome to be able to transmit and receive um, in this valley, for example. So those are the top two things that you need to understand on what makes a profitable location. Is the way earnings are made are by the proof of coverage consensus mechanism, and the way they are paid out. Here we go. How are tokens earned? Is exactly what we're trying to answer. So the more tokens you make, obviously the more profitable your setup is. So you need to be able to make the most of these events, right? Proof of coverage events and witness events. Now we'll definitely be getting into the proof of coverage algorithm in another video, but to be able to maximize these two things, you need elevation and you need height. And then the other consideration is the surrounding miner density. Now you can, let's say for example, this guy here, he could be at a super high elevation, have great height, but if there's nobody else around him, he's gonna have trouble making a lot of helium. This guy here that we found, who's made a great amount, 21 and a half over the past 30 days. I mean, he's at high enough elevation point, and he's got his antenna up high. He's got 78 witnesses. He's seeing about 404 beacons per 7 days. I mean, this guy has got a setup. He's got a nice setup. He's got it high, and he's able to see this cluster of miners to his south, as well as miners all the way here in Frisco, and he's almost hitting McKinney here from Denton. So he's kind of got the best of both worlds, right? I mean, you need more miners around you to a certain point. Now, like I said earlier, San Antonio and Austin, there's just too many miners too close together, which is saturating the network and it's driving earnings down. This area looks great because there's quite a few hotspots, but they're pretty well spread out and they're still within range of having this, antenna up high here. So really it's a combination of elevation, height, and this Goldilocks principle of having not too many, but not too few miners that you can hear and that can hear your transmissions. So I think that's where we'll leave it today. We can probably pick up and address the proof of coverage algorithm in another video. Thanks a lot for watching, and we'll see you next time. The end of this video, and you're not sure exactly where I was going with this, the quick recap is the average miner makes between 90 and $100 dollars per day, or sorry, per month. So that's a reasonable estimate for an average setup. And the first thing you want to do is come to, your neighborhood in the Helium Explorer and see what the people around you are making. And if you can kind of get an estimate of how high up their setup is, and if you can get something similar to that in your neighborhood, you could potentially see some similar results. Now, everything's variable. There could be hills, there could be buildings, other obstructions in the way, so you can't always take that with 100% certainty. So that's basically the best way to quickly estimate earnings. And then after that, the things you would want to look into are elevation, how high you can get your antenna outside, and up on second, third floor, or something like a flagpole setup would be what you would want to look to next. And of course, the surrounding miner density. You want enough to have plenty of witnessing opportunities, but not too many that it's oversaturated in your area. Kind of like a Goldilocks just right in between for that. So thanks again for watching. If this was helpful, go ahead and hit the subscribe button, hit the like button. If it wasn't helpful, let me know what I could have done better in the comments. See y'all in the next one.